What brings you here today?
Well, we're members of the Socialist Party, and we always try and mark International Women's Day, which is a really important historical day that developed from working class struggle of women workers fighting for decent pay, for decent working hours.
Do you think that the sexual exploitation of women is wrong?
Of course, yeah, of course, yeah.
And why is it so wrong?
Because I mean that again.
It's almost too obvious, but
it's like,
look at things like consent.
Yeah, the initial reasons were due just because it as an action is wrong. Like if there is no consent, then it shouldn't be. You shouldn't do that thing. But I mean, then there are other things like the fact, like the amount of women that it happens to, the regularity, like the amount of women that then don't talk about it, the fear that you then have over it. So like women who may not even be physically sexually abused, like people close to them. This ripple effect with all those sort of things, isn't it? So
people talk about the sexual abuse of women, sexual harassment. Do you think that non-humans, like animals, can they be victims of sexual abuse at all?
I think we've all got individual opinions. A lot of our members are vegetarian or vegan, but as a group, what we stand for are women's rights.
Right. The repeated artificial insemination of cows.
Okay.
Do you think that would class as sexual abuse to you?
Well, I'm against industrial farming methods. I mean,
Yeah.
you can put whatever label on it you like. I don't think the sexual abuse aspect is the key question.
personally, I eat meat, so I feel that a lot of stuff that is pushed is negative stuff, where the people who are trying to get away from these things aren't being celebrated, because there's a lot of people that are now in fear of, oh, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, where it's like there are places you can go where you can get these things. And I mean, oat milk and things like that are now blowing up and everyone loves it. But the actual artificial insemination, I mean, as long as it's done well, I suppose, and not like every cow ever is artificially inseminated. I don't know.
There's a lot of alternative at the moment. We don't really need like to just drink milk. It's not necessary at the moment.
Yeah.
We have a lot of product. It could be brown rice, it could be almond milk, it could be oat milk, it could be any type of. It's not really milk, but it's a vegetarian option, and organic and natural. And honestly, it doesn't stress any animal. For example, I don't think there's a necessary to eat meat and the way to make it suffer the animal. The animal really suffers. So in 2020, we have a lot of alternative.
So say if we imagine like fox hunting, for instance, what's your position on that?
Yeah, I'm against that, yeah. Because that's just cruelty for sport.
Would you agree with that? Were you against fox hunting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea that it's like so unnecessary, it's just giving people pleasure.
Yeah, and it's the sport of the rich, isn't it?
Yeah.
Riding around on their horses across the countryside, doing whatever they want. I don't agree with that aspect of it either.
Do you think that the reason that we consume animals is that for pleasure as well?
No, I think most people consume animals for food, which is how human beings developed.
In a human context, if I could prove to you that I could abuse a woman but without causing trauma, like say if they were unconscious, they never remembered it,
Okay.
would you still find it morally wrong to do the act?
Yeah, of course, because I think the issue there is that you are making a choice, assuming that they're not going, and even if they don't necessarily get trauma out of it, or they never knew it happened, or they don't get pregnant from it. Even if you got rid of every single one of those things, you consciously have gone out of your way to do something. That's even worse. You've gone to all these extra lengths. You've to take away all these different things. It's like a bank job where you've just got like,
I suppose we're reducing the suffering.
You're reducing the suffering, but at the same time, I mean, you're still doing the act. Like, I mean, fair enough there. I mean, obviously, it's interesting.
If I was to say to you guys that I got a lot of pleasure from consuming cheese or consuming meat, would that justify the violence to the animals?
I don't think gratifying yourself is ever a justification for violence.
Yeah.
You could argue that paedophiles enjoy sexually abusing children. That's certainly not a justification.
No.
So if you take any argument to its extreme, I think that should help you find the answer.
Yeah.
I think the problems in the world are not caused by individual people eating meat. The problems in the world are caused by the system that we live under, and I'm not going to indulge in anything that attacks individual choices about the food that they eat. Because we live in a society where most people, large numbers of people, have got very little money and just spend the money that they've got on what they can to feed their families.
Right.
And they're not responsible for the methods that are used in the farming industry, and that should be the target. Which again, by which I don't mean individual farmers either, but I mean the system as a whole.
I completely appreciate what you're saying, but I would say we should hold individuals accountable. For instance, if I was to slit this dog's throat right now, I'm morally
You'd
responsible
be in
for.
trouble for that from me, yes.
Right. So individuals can do something wrong, and I appreciate there's other issues in the world.
Obviously, you want to be vegan. That's fine. That's up to you. That's fine. Okay. I've got no problem with you being that. My daughter's a vegan. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
But do you think it should be a moral obligation for all of us to be vegan if we care about the rights of individuals?
No, I don't know.
So do you think I should have the right to kill animals?
I think you can have the right to eat meat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is that including dogs?
Well, no, I don't want to eat my dog.
Is there a moral difference between a dog and a pig?
That is not what I've come here to discuss.
Fair enough.
with
I
you.
appreciate the conversation. Thank you so much anyway. Thank you. What is the difference between the two scenarios? What is it about the cow that means it's not immoral?
I suppose it's easy. I don't know. I feel like they can't talk to me. They can't tell me it's a bad thing.
Not everyone is vegetarian. Not everyone wants to be vegetarian or vegan. However, for our personal members, as I say, a lot of us do make that choice to be vegetarian or vegan, but some of us are not, and we're equally accepting of each other and our choices.
What I believe, but I wouldn't tell somebody else what they're allowed to eat or not, because that's up to them, not me.
Right. It's like the idea of a personal choice. Do you think that we should have the choice to inflict suffering on animals, or do you think that choice should be restricted? Does the sensory pleasure we get from consuming the animal, does that matter morally as to whether we should be killing them?
I mean, it makes it easier. It makes it easier to get over whatever moral issues there may be.
Could someone who rapes a woman say, "I really enjoyed it"?
Yeah, probably. There's probably loads. There's probably multiple serial offenders who do it.
And would that make it any more moral to do that, to rape a woman?
No, in no way.
So if I really enjoy the way, like, say, a cow tastes, would that make it more moral to kill the cow?
If you're thinking of any kind of utopian system, I think it has to come from all the individuals making that choice. As soon as you try and force a belief or force an opinion, then you get to that argument of do the means justify the ends. So yes, it would be wonderful if the whole world, as one voice, made a decision on that. But I don't think we can force that decision on anyone, because in some parts of the world, people don't have those alternatives. It is a question of survival.
I appreciate what you're saying, and the idea that we shouldn't force people to do certain things. But I suppose that not every man in the world agrees that they shouldn't be allowed to abuse women. But we do try to enforce that law, despite the fact that not everybody agrees. So do you think that just because some people want to consume meat and think that their pleasure justifies the violence,
any legislative system, it relies on democracy and people's voices giving rise to changes in the law.
Yeah.
What we need to do is spread awareness so that people want that change in law.
Absolutely, because I think that's a good point. I think if people don't know what's happening to dairy cows or the animals, why would anything ever change? Why would we gain a motivation change? How do we morally justify killing the animal if they don't want to die? Even without pain.
I mean,
how do I know?
Yeah, how do you know?
I mean, I guess I give them the benefit of the doubt, but how do you know a baby doesn't want to die? We wouldn't use that as a justification for killing them.
Good point. Well, because they deserve to live, and I suppose you could say that you could attach that same thing towards the cows.
What makes the baby deserving of that life?
What is in a baby human? What would
I'd probably say the capacity to suffer, the will to live,
okay,
potential for happiness and well-being.
I myself am working towards veganism at the moment. I was vegan in the past, I lapsed, and I'm vegetarian at the moment. Well, almost entirely vegetarian, working back towards veganism. For me, I think one of the motivations this time, rather than just the ethical question for animals, was really the ethical question for the planet. The food industry creates a lot of pollution, and I also think if we look at the bigger picture, that's a really big concern as well.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate putting you on the spot, and I'm kind of hijacking this as a protest about animal rights. But I will give you guys a card if you're interested. Each.